I'm Ruth Levine, the CEO of IDinsight. We can think about evidence uptake in policymaking and implementation in lots of different ways. One of them is to think about relevance, rigor, and relationships. When I say relevance, what I mean is, are we asking the questions and applying the methods in a way that is responsive to the needs of specific decision makers in the policy community, whether it's legislators or political appointees or civil servants? Those are people who are making big decisions. Sometimes they seem small, but they have wide-ranging consequences. They're making those decisions often in the face of lots of uncertainty, political pressure, time pressure, and a kind of inability because of all those pressures to deliberate and think through all the possible options. It's our responsibility to be responding to their needs, providing the information they need to make key trade-offs at the time they need them. That's relevance. So if we think about rigor, I think we're very accustomed to thinking about rigor in kind of narrow technical terms, but I think of it as a kind of discipline of thought, where we're being rigorous around questions like the following. Are we applying a kind of unbiased lens as much as possible to the questions we're asking and the methods we're using, the data we're collecting? Are we taking into consideration the range of different perspectives in a system, whether it's the government or citizens or others? Are we being explicit, really transparent about the assumptions underlying our mental model and our understanding of the relationships involved? And are we being really careful about the inferences we're drawing about causal relationships and really doing the right kinds of comparisons? So that's rigor. And when we think about relationships, well, I'm talking about our relationships of trust, which I think we all know are just fundamental to the uptake of evidence and the sustained use of data and evidence. It really has to be seen as coming from a trusted source. So one way to think about what trust is in the terms that many sociologists do, which is that you're seen as capable, that you're seen as honest, and that you're seen as having at heart the best interests of the people with whom you're trying to establish a relationship of trust. And that last piece, beneficence, is so much easier when you have a shared background, a common language in many different ways, and a deep shared understanding of the context. It's also in establishing relationships of trust that things like listening and empathy and good communications, those soft skills that we didn't really learn in graduate school, and maybe we got taught out of us in graduate school, where those come into play. And they really make the difference between the ability to ignore evidence and to have it seen as integral into successful policymaking. I'm really looking forward to the Global Development Conference in October and to listening and learning from everybody about how they think about relevance, rigor, relationships, and many, many other things.